Hi folks, Florida Man here, with another Basics of Austria video. This one is called Basics of Austria, Surviving the Occupation. You can probably tell from the title what this one is about. In my first couple of videos, I presented a positive and arguably somewhat optimistic perspective on the performance of the Austrian power in diplomacy. Most people who have played as Austria can tell you it frequently doesn't go that smoothly. Even if you come out on top as Austria, there's a tendency for you to be attacked at some point in the early game by one or more of your neighbors. I don't know what it is that makes Austria such an attractive target, but I'm guessing it's how many centers there are in the Balkans. Regardless of the reason why, there's a very high probability of you being attacked at some point along this process, before one of your other neighbors gets eliminated. If that happens, you have to be flexible and resourceful. Be effective in building rapid alliances. The great thing about being Austria is that the bar for success is set a bit low. People are unsurprised to see Austria disappearing suddenly and quickly, and if one or two of your neighbors have noticed that you have a bit more staying power, they may want to throw their lot in with you even after you get attacked. That's why, as Austria, I recommend never closing any doors permanently. That doesn't mean not to eliminate any powers when you're fighting them, but always be polite and, strange as this sounds to say, professional about it. Don't gloat, because the tables can turn at any moment, and the power you thought was your friend can decide that it's to his advantage to attack you. If you're betrayed, don't tell the other person that they're dead to you. They're not dead to you, you're just fighting them now. And even if you're very savvy, and you predict and bounce that attack, blocking a surprise attack isn't the same as winning the war that your ally just started. What needs to be done for that is to keep other powers from fighting alongside your former ally. Alternatively, you can find a way to make up with your attacker. The best way to do either of those things is to maintain a strong ability to turn enemies into friends. You need to try to make sure the people you're attacking resent your allies rather than you for the invasion they're suffering under, and you need to outright endear yourself to your allies and any neutral parties. That way, when Russia or Turkey or Italy or more than one of those powers turns on you, you hopefully have a new friend to lean on, one who wants revenge on your shared enemies. If you're largely occupied by Italy, you should try to get Turkey or Russia on your side. If you can hold out in Budapest, Vienna, and/or Serbia, you can bounce back despite an Italian attack with some foreign support. If you're occupied by a juggernaut, you should be able to effectively raise alarm bells with Italy and Germany, and if you can stay alive in Greece and Trieste, that might give you an effective chance to bounce back. If Russia is attacking you, try appealing to both Italy and Turkey separately. They may both be difficult to persuade because Russia is an attractive ally for either of them, but you need at least one of them to help you. Just make sure you hold on to the southern portion of your land in that scenario, which should be more difficult for Russia to attack. If you can't make an ally to defeat your attacker, of course, you have to consider reuniting with the power who's attacking you, even if that's an unpleasant negotiation to have. In that situation, you will probably have to be flexible and willing to compromise to some extent. However, as Austria, there are certain things I would suggest you should almost never be flexible on. You can give up one or two of your home centers if that compromise will keep you alive a bit longer, but never give up all three of them. It's usually pretty impossible to recover from that as Austria, because if someone has penetrated that far into your country, they have 2 units positioned to take Serbia as well. Any other centers you possess will be too far away to have much likelihood of retaking your home centers, which basically makes you a dead power walking. And Austria generally can't be much of a janissary for other powers, because unlike most countries, Austria has multiple centers very close to the homeland. If your ally stabs you and takes most of your centers, he'll never be able to turn his back on you safely and go elsewhere, because the only way to safely and effectively defend those centers that he took from you is to go all the way and eliminate you. By contrast, if Russia stabs Turkey, he will not always go for home centers first, or centers close to home centers first. If Russia takes Bulgaria, Serbia, and Trieste from Turkey, it's unlikely that Turkey can do much about it with Turkey's next build in Constantinople. Russia just needs to defend the single space of Bulgaria that acts as a gateway to the rest of the centers Russia took. Similarly, if Austria stabs Italy for Venice, Italy will usually have a hard time retaking it unless Austria did so very feebly, with only 1 unit walking in unsupported, say. If Austria is stabbed and loses Budapest or Trieste, though, Austria frequently has the force to kick the enemy out, unless the invader is reinforced by multiple units or an ally. Sometimes it can be sustainable for Austria to give up Trieste to Italy, as a means of ensuring Italy won't feel the need to stab deeper into Austria anytime soon after that acquisition. But usually, if Austria remains alive into the middle and late game, all the centers that border Austria's home centers have a way of making it back into Austrian hands. So in practice, Austria isn't a very good janissary for most other countries, and they know that, so it's hard to sell yourself as such. For that reason, surviving the occupation for Austria usually ends up being less about becoming a Vichy Austria, and more about being stubborn, discouraging the attacker like a porcupine, pulling in third parties and former enemies to help you, and using good tactical insight to predict and defeat opponents' moves. If you're under attack, but you're doing well at defending yourself, time may be on your side. As long as Turkey isn't the one attacking you, your enemies all have neighbors who might attack them before they have enough time to finish you off. Only if 3 of your 4 neighbors are trying to kill you are you definitely doomed as Austria, and even then, keep talking. The power of persuasion, coupled with clinging to life stubbornly for an extra season or 2, can bring about your resurrection, and with Austria being surrounded by delicious centers in the Balkans and Italy, a resurrection in the mid-game can result in rapid growth. I hope you've enjoyed this Basics of Austria video. I wasn't sure where to put it in the chronology of Basics of Austria videos, because Austria can be attacked and occupied at any time in a game of diplomacy, unlike most powers that can't be effectively attacked until at least 1902 or 1903. However, I think most Austrians that get effectively attacked are hit in the early game, so I put this just after the early game years in my series. By the middle game, Austria is usually pretty formidable if it hasn't been hit like that yet. You too can become a force to be reckoned with. Just like, subscribe, and stay tuned to keep getting regular injections of diplomacy wisdom into your YouTube recommendations. Please also join us in extending your thanks to the patrons whose names are now on screen, and I hope you'll consider joining them in their special degree of support for the channel. We want you for the Alligator Army. Until next time, Florida Man out.